everybody. I just want to welcome everybody to the show, The Encouraged. I'm your host, Helen Bloodsaw, and I have a guest with me today, Brihem.j. Without further ado, Brihem, what's happening, man? Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Again, my name is Brihem.j, CEO and photographer of Visions and The Icon LLC.
How did you get started with photography, and what made you get into photography?
My story of photography actually was kind of an accident, truthfully. I never really had any idea that I would become a photographer, honestly. I have a friend that is, she is in photography. She's actually into film. And she had a photo shoot one day and the photographer canceled on her. And she handed me her camera and asked me if I could shoot her. And then from there, it turned into, you're really good at it for someone that's never done it. And I always believed in if you're good at something, why not try it? So 3 years ago, I started my photography journey. And 3 years later, I'm happy I made that decision.
I was asking you, did photography, spark passions, for, modeling and managing and other things that, you're doing?
Yes, photography definitely did. It was a step. It was a step towards everything else because originally, I like most people that know me, I'm kind of a shy person. Over this time period of me being a photographer, I had to become more outgoing as far as talking to people. Definitely with the modeling and everything after that. Of course, I'm always behind the camera, so eventually it got to a point where I started being in front of the camera. So yeah, that it definitely did. It was the first step.
So what are some like connects and people you started, connecting with along the way?
For me, like three I think it was 3 weeks into me being a photographer, I shot the Milano de Rouge fashion show at Liberty Place. That was 3 years ago. Since then I've been on close to 20, 22 flights. I kind of frequently am flying in and out of cities and states, working with different models, different companies. I'm actually working on a deal right now out of state. I don't want to get too much information on it because, people put their name onto it. But I would just say I live by the impossible is nothing, honestly. And everything is impossible until it's done. So for me, it's just always taking that initial step of just talking about it, like dreaming it, you speak it, then you live it. So for me,
And I
it's
like,
really it's no cap to where I'm trying to go with this.
and I like what you said in your about, um, like part of your website. You said, to present yourself to the world through your vision. Never allow others' perceptions of you determine your own image. Accept who you are and respect your inner voice. Live your truth through your vision. What does that mean to you?
So for me, um, I was raised in the hood. Everybody got this story how they was raised in the hood.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I was raised in the hood, but I went to Catholic school. Um,
Right.
Although I'm dressed right now, I have 28 tattoos where I've always been labeled as just the ball player or the hood nigga or this and that, just so based off of looks. But what I always told people is if I come into a room with a suit on, you wouldn't know I have any tattoos. Like right now, you wouldn't know I have any tattoos. You know what I mean? And it's like I always felt like people judge you by the cover instead of really getting to know the person behind it. So that's where the three in vision stands for, the way you view yourself, the way others view you, and the way you view yourself based on the way others view you. If everyone told you right now, oh, you are a DJ, eventually you'll start believing you're a DJ because that's what everyone's telling you. But you might have always wanted to be a musician. So for me, it was always, well, yeah, I get it that you think I might be this person, but this is who I really am. And I stand on that, that's what it's always meant for me. It's just being you all the time. No matter who's around, you're always yourself.
So how did you engulf all of that into what you're doing right now, like from what you experienced from you being afraid to speak in front of people to taking the visions and and dreams and different things that that you could do and implementing it into what you're doing right now. How did How did that happen for you?
So the journey with that is it's a trial and error thing where it's like,
Hmm.
you know, I've switched my team, I think maybe 3 or 4 times, but I don't fire anybody. I never fired anyone. I always let people come and go because I believe in, it's everyone's there for a time. You even here for a long time or a short time. I try to learn, I try to find the best in people and see it because just like I said, you learn from every person you interact with. So throughout this time, it's always been they might not be good at this, but they're good at this. So how do you use that and figure out how you can make them good in that part that they're bad at? Because just like I told you, I wasn't good at talking in front of people, but now I have to talk every week. I had to sit on interviews. I had to go and talk to companies, and that was something I had to figure it out. Where it was like, if you want to go to that next level, you got to do the things you're uncomfortable with. So that's how I implement it into my business structure. Is this I believe in manifestation. If you talk about it enough, it happens. So for my team, I constantly beat the same things into them, like, yo, believe in yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. If you tell your son, I tell myself every day I'm a billionaire. And then when I become a
Hmm.
billionaire, I'm gonna be ready for it. You know what I mean? Because
Spoke
I've
it
been
into existence.
exactly. So that's my way of implementing that into my business every day. And then with the team thing is no, I don't call them my employees. They're my teammates, because they
Hmm.
are all the CEOs of their companies. So now we're a conglomerate of CEOs that decided to work together to make a bigger goal.
Mm. Wow. So the vision is bigger. The vision isn't within this range. You know what I mean? It's broader. You know what I mean? And that's good, man. That's good. So you're you're 26 years old, and you're a CEO of Visionary LLC. Um, at 26, how difficult would you say it is, to be in the position that you're in, being the age that you are, being young, you know, um, with so much other things that is going on, different things that you might have experienced. How do you still keep yourself, focused?
Um, at 26, I will tell anybody it's hard, but that's at any age. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of just like you said. It's bigger than me. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, Visions was never made for Brihem.j. The icon was never made for Brihem.j. It was to create a legacy, and
Mm-hmm.
within any legacy, you're gonna have trials and tribulations. You're gonna make mistakes. I'm okay with making mistakes because in order to succeed, you had to fail. I failed over and over again. I made mistakes. I've, did things I shouldn't have did. That's gonna happen. But it's
Yeah.
about what happens after you make that mistake. I never make the same mistake twice. If I did something wrong this time, I'm man enough to say I made a mistake. And
Mm-hmm.
as a CEO, everyone tells you what they would do if they was in your position, but no one knows what it's like until they're in your position. Everybody thinks it's
Mm-hmm.
easy. It's just easy. Oh, I tell people what to do. That's not how it works. You
Mm-hmm.
gotta understand. You have to learn the people you work with. And that's one thing I had to learn. I wasn't good at communicating. I used to listen to respond instead of listening to understand. And I
Mm-hmm.
credit my team a lot for that because that was one thing that took me from being a okay leader to being a great leader. It's just listening, being able to sit back and go, oh, okay, this is why you did that. Let me tell you why we should do this. And then we find a median. So
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely you learn every day. You learn every day. You know,
Wow.
People not gonna get it. You gotta believe in yourself more than anyone else do. Like me personally, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that our dreams work.
Wow.
Honestly.
Wow, that's encouraging. That's encouraging to anybody that's young, old, no matter what age, to be able to receive and to use that in their life. You know what I mean? That's really encouraging. So, um, so the different workers that are with you now, um, what is their growth like? Since they connect with you, what are their growths? like?
Um, so my entire team, I think I've only had one of my teammates been with me for a year. Everyone else about 8 months, 9 months. Um, some of them went from not having a dream at all to now they're CEOs of companies. Now they have clothing brands. We just built a booth in the photography studio for my teammate who works on my website, but he's a artist that makes music and beats, and he's teaching me how to rap right now. We actually just worked on a video. I have a makeup artist that went from being quiet to she speaks very highly, speaks life into the team. Had my health and wellness coach went from being quiet to now he's waking up every morning and speaking life into our team, putting out goals, sending us videos. He inspired me to get into better shape than I was in college. My entire team is doing their thing. It's just sometimes they forget that we're a team, we become individualized, but everybody has grown. Everyone, anybody that I feel like I've ever worked with has grown. Because I feel like if I'm not going to push you to be better, I didn't do my job.
So how do you keep a thick skin, through the ups and downs of business? Good,
I'm not even
good
gonna lie.
question,
I ain't
right?
even gonna lie to you and say I got thick skin. Some stuff gets me, it do, but I will say like the thing that keeps me sane is me being a dad. No, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry, being a father. I'm not a dad. I'm a father. Me being a father because my son is one. My
Mm-hmm.
son does stuff, and I look at him, and I'll be wanting to get mad, but you gotta realize he's a baby, and
Right.
not to say I treat my team like my kids, but I treat my team like my family, where it's like, all right, yeah, you didn't kind of got under my skin, but
Mm-hmm.
instead of me lashing out, I try to go about it, the best way possible. Don't get me wrong, I've had my blow up moments where I didn't got high headed, but
Mm-hmm.
being high headed is not going to solve anything because you yelling at me now, I'm gonna yell at you, and it's not gonna get done.
There's a bunch of confusion afterwards.
Exactly. It's sometimes I tell my team you gotta change the way you look at things, your perception of the situation. If you're yelling at me and then I respond in a different way, it's gonna mess your mind up because now you was expecting me to curse you out when I just took it and went, okay, whenever you're ready to talk, just come talk to me, and then we handle it that way.
Mm-hmm. So being behind the camera, behind the lens, looking through the lens, um, what do you try to capture? So when I say like, what do you try to capture um, in people's lives? Like do you try to capture, the emotions, the moments, the drives, different. What is your vision like behind the lens?
I like to tell a story. I like for when you see my photos, you go, wow. I like the wow
Mm-hmm.
factor. You can feel my
Mm-hmm.
photos where you're like, oh wow, like that's one thing I take into consideration when I shoot. Before I shoot anything, I always
Mm-hmm.
want to be able to tell a story through this image. I want you to feel my photos. Even with my clothing, I want you to feel my clothing before you even wear it. Because if you feel it,
Mm-hmm.
that means you're feeling the culture behind it. You feeling the people behind it. I always believe that you don't fall in love with the brand, you fall in love with the people behind the brand.
Mm-hmm. Do you think? All right, I like that you brought that up, but like, do you think, with Instagram, you know, people are doing a bunch of stuff, when it comes to like, uh, business, and it's just not true. And I heard something about people like leaving their like basically customers, for cars and showing off and all of this other stuff. So they're not, staying true, to their customers. Like, what do you think about that?
I believe that if you control the media, you control the narrative. No matter what, even if you winning, people gonna say you losing. It's really
Mm-hmm.
no real answer to that because no matter what you do, no matter how good you are, someone's gonna say you bad. You really could
Mm-hmm.
have been struggling your whole life, and now you got a chance to have some money, and you wanted to explore the things that you couldn't do when you didn't have money. So now people gonna say you flexing. But for
Mm-hmm.
12 years, you struggled, and now you just got some free money. And you like, all right, well, I wanted to feel what it felt like to drive a Maserati, so I spent my money and drove a Maserati. It's all about the person. And that's one thing I say. I don't think it's a such thing as really flexing. I just feel like if you got it, you happy for it. People work hard,
Mhm.
and me personally, I don't knock the left man. Don't get me wrong. It is
Yeah,
kind of bad if you living in your mom crib and you renting Maseratis every weekend. That's different, but
yeah,
that's them. That's not me. Me personally, I wouldn't do it.
yeah.
But teach his own.
I want to talk to you about your visions. I want to talk to you about the visions that you have on the inside of you, the visions that you see for your future, for you to obtain the things that you need to obtain in your life. I want to let you know that you can obtain it. You can obtain anything that you want to obtain. Just know it, believe it, know that you can have it. Know that what you see for your future for you, it is reachable for you. So, guys, be encouraged. I'll talk to you again soon. See you later. And I asked that question because I like how um, your mind and your heart is towards, your team, people, you know, letting people see um, themselves in a better way, through your brand and through what you're promoting, through what you're pushing out. I think that's something that more people need to see, need to understand. Even when it comes about business, that is never about yourself. It's always about helping the next person, helping the next person elevate higher. And really, I think that's with anything. You know what I mean? That's with anything. So um, I want to talk about modeling. Your modeling career. When did that start taking off, or when did you get into modeling?
January 1st, 2021. I actually it's crazy because for my team I always laugh. They laugh when I say this, but I'm all of my teammates' first customer. I'm your first student. Because truth be told, I'm a quick learner, and I feel like if you can teach me, you can teach anybody. Not to say like I have a learning, just like nothing like that. It's just personally, if you can sit in a room with somebody that you feel like you can, get to their level, or you feel like I'm above you or any type way or anything like that, and you can teach me and realize I'm willing to learn from you, what's stopping you
Mhm.
from teaching someone else? So for me, like I call her Mom Duke sometimes, but my lead model, yeah, she she been preaching this towards me for at least 3 months, and she's like, "Yo, listen, like you need to try it. Like you're good at it. You need to try it." Been really beating it into my head, and my homie Jalil, he's my music production company lead, and he calls himself my personal photographer. So for the new year, I'm like, you know what? My sister been telling me I need to model for a long time. I like taking pictures. I've always been really camera friendly. Being on the other side of the camera. So I'm like, let me try it. And I actually was watching your post one day. You posted about Creed 3, and I went to
Mhm.
apply for the movie, and I didn't have any headshots. And
Mm.
I came in here the next day, and I'm like, yo, you know what? I need to take headshots because if I want to be in movies and all that type of stuff, I need these type of things. And I loved it so far. I've been reached out to by a couple of photographers. You know, so within was it today's the ninth? Yeah, within 9 days, I would say my modeling career is kind of doing all right. Like doing relatively well. Like I modeled for my own company before,
Okay.
last month. So one thing I always tell people is like I pay attention to what would catch your eye. You know, it definitely made me pay attention to clothing a little bit more. Like my dad's a tailor. He's a tailor. Too bad he don't live in Philly, but he's a tailor. So
Mhm.
I really know fabrics. I've been around this in my blood. So for me, it definitely did. It made me pay attention to things I didn't pay attention to. How can you showcase different parts of people's body and showcase it the correct way and make them feel comfortable? What fabric feels good against the skin, 4-way stretch
Okay.
material. Yeah, it did. Modeling definitely did do that.
Um, could you say like the modeling industry, is as hectic as they say?
Yeah, it's definitely hectic because it's always structured. Everything is structured. You know,
Mhm.
um, a lot of the times people don't understand what it looks like behind productions, where it's like You know, something may supposed to start at 1 o'clock, but you know, one person was late and it pushed the show back to 3 o'clock. Or clothing didn't fit right on this person. You know, you're supposed to cut weight, but you didn't cut weight. So yeah, it's always hectic. You know, you got maybe 30 seconds to change outfits. You know, it's a lot of stuff that goes into that. You know, when I first became a photographer, I got to sit in on my first fashion show and watching them behind the stage and all that getting ready. I was like, damn, this is wild. You know, you might come off the stage with a dress and hop right out into a two-piece jumpsuit, hop right out into a bomber jacket within 2 minutes apart.
Mm.
So it is a lot.
Now I seen a lot of, the models, going back and forth to change and, seeing how everything, is made up and just done, man. So in that aspect with modeling, well, I'll say with men. That's what I was kind of thinking. With male models, I know they need a certain height. How tough is it for like a shorter model?
Um, so I believe in the impossible is nothing. I'm 5'10", so I'm average height for a male model. But in the same breath, it's all about what they looking for, honestly. Like, you know, it's not the same like it used to be with people. You know, you gotta be maybe you gotta be 6'2" and 120. It's not like that no more.
Mm,
You're looking for
okay.
the uniqueness. You know, you gotta be unique. What makes you
Yeah.
stand out? You know, I got a
Mm,
patch. That's my unique stamp. I, a couple
mm,
days ago, I had a braid, even though it was a joke, but I was walking around with a braid. There's one braid hanging from my patch, but it's just being unique. You know, what's gonna make you stand out in a room? Think about if you go into an interview and everybody wears black suits. I would be the person to wear a yellow suit or something like. No, I mean something that's gonna make you go, oh yeah, Brihem. I remember he was the one
mhm,
with the tie-dye tie on. Them type of things. You
mm.
just have to stand out and be comfortable because modeling is truthfully this comfortability. If you're comfortable in the way you look and
Yeah.
you confident, you'll be a bomb model. Truthfully, it takes a little work, of course, you know, but that's with anything. You gotta put the work in, you know. Like
So,
I got this quote on my wall in the studio. It says, "Dreams don't work unless you do." That's just it in a
mm,
nutshell. It's not gonna get
wow,
done unless you work.
because that's real. Wow. So, man, you kind of took me off my next question a little bit. That hit me. That hit me strong. So, so do you think modeling is for anybody? Kind of, because I know acting is a little different, but do you think modeling is for anybody? Can anybody get into modeling?
I think so. I think honestly, I think everything is open for everybody. You just gotta work for it. You know what I mean? Like at one point they wasn't worried about plus size models, but plus size models is the new niche. You know,
Yeah,
like they used to frown upon women for being out of shape. Now it's like no, love yourself. You know, look at Monique. You know, she was a plus size model
yeah.
that was on the stage. Then she lost all this weight, but truth be told, she created a lane. And I personally, I don't believe in following the trend. I don't want to be like everyone else. I don't want to. I wanted to create my own lane. You know what I mean? Because that's my job. My job wasn't to continue no one else's legacy or even my dad. Like that's my father, but I didn't want to be him. My son, I didn't name him after me because it's not his job to carry my legacy. I can just give him my knowledge and he chooses to do with it what he wants to do. So I believe everything is open for everybody. You just have to put in the work for it. I mean, you gotta figure out how. You know, if the door not open, do you go under it? Do you go over it? Do you go through it? It's a way to get through that door, though. You just gotta figure it out.
I know the COVID-19 and everything. Do you think it's suffering more, or do you think it's actually improving better?
Both. It's both. Due to COVID, a lot of people had the time for the first time to just sit back and study,
Mm,
you know, and figure out what they're good at. Like me personally, I became a completely different person due to COVID. I was working 9 to 5 since I was 15, and I never wanted
mm,
to work for nobody. And when I had my son, I had to make a decision. You know, I was working for a company, I was making great money, but my son, I couldn't have. I needed to be with my son. So honestly, I had to figure out a way that I can continuously make the money I need to make and still be there to be a father. And COVID, that was a blessing for me, as much as all the other nonsense that went down, but COVID gave me the break I needed. I was able to take that deep breath that I needed to go and say, yo, I'm bigger than this corporation. I'm bigger than this. So what do I need to do? And then I put my foot on the gas, and I'm still not there yet. But I'm not taking my foot off until I'm probably never take my foot off the gas, to be honest, because I feel like you can always improve. But I believe that COVID created a lot of more entrepreneurs, gave a lot of more gave people a lot more mentality wise. Yeah, some people may slack due to COVID. They may didn't have these ideas, but a lot of people grew. They grew mentally, physically, emotionally. Definitely due to all the time you had in the house. What are you going to do?
Yeah,
You see a lot more entrepreneurs now.
yeah, you definitely do a whole lot. So, like, I don't have any kids or nothing like that, but and you said you do. So, is your son? You say you have a son, or well, I don't.
Yes,
I'm okay. So you have a son. Is your son like your top motivation? Is he just when you wake up in the morning, is he's like the number one thing, number one person on your mind? Where okay, I know I got to get this because of my son. I know I have to grab this because of my son.
yeah, it is. Before I had a son, Visions was created for my legacy to be able to give my son something. I believe in that's what separates our culture from a lot of other cultures is we don't believe in ownership, where I always did
Mm,
because I feel like you work for a corporation for 50 years, and when you retire, they give you a watch. If I'm gonna work
yeah,
for something for 50 years, I
yeah.
want to
You're gonna
give
have to
you
give
ownership.
me a little. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's
Hmm.
like I went from saying I'm doing this for my kids, before I even had a kid, to now I have a son where I get to wake up next to him every day, and look at him and see, okay, I know what I'm doing today. I know that if I don't work that hard, I can't pay my rent for my studio or pay my rent for my house or you know what I mean? So yeah,
Yeah.
it does. Diapers ain't cheap. I mean, baby
Nah.
formula ain't cheap. It's
Yeah.
just it give you a whole different type of mentality because you have to do it. It's not a I want to, I have
Yeah.
to.
Door closing.
I felt like that's like the probably like one of the worst ways to teach a child. To only do as I say do. You know, and that not as I do. So
Yeah,
um, yeah, I think it could yeah I think it could be better when it comes to that teaching method. I think they can change it. I think it should be changed. It should be a little different. Um, but yeah, I definitely agree with what you said. I'm sorry because I'm looking at my phone too at the same time because my co-producer is texting me. Um, so
Are you
that's why I was trying to talk to you and look at the phone at the same time. So um, we're getting ready to wrap up. Um, I just want to thank you, Brahim, for coming on the show, man. For blessing the show. Real quick, I just want to encourage some people out there that may be watching. Listen, just like Brahim, you can do anything that you want to do. You can have anything that you want to have. You just have to be consistent. You have to know that this is what you want to do, that this is what you want. No matter what people say, no matter what they bring to your table, you have to know that your table is filled with the food that you need to eat for you. So,
exactly
guys, again, Raheem, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for
for having me?
being a part of the encouraged man. And